Okay, so this is missing view problems. Missing view problems can be extremely difficult for people who struggle to visualize a mental object in their head. That doesn't mean it's impossible. So I'm going to go through one of these examples with you so that you can see how I think through it. All right, the very first thing I want to do is I'm going to do the first problem in the upper left. So I'm going to start with some construction lines. And the construction lines are going to come from the two existing views that we have. So in this problem, we're given the top view and we're given the right side view. We have to create the front view. So in order to do that, I'm going to transfer the existing segments that we have from both views over to create essentially a grid. So I'm going to do that very lightly. So I don't want to darken anything in yet until I know for sure what has to stay. So I'm going to start with some horizontals, and I'm going to line up my t-square with the existing lines and just make a real light line over there. Bring it up to the next one and make a real light line, and to the third one, and make a light line. So with those three lines, I'm also going to drop down the verticals from the top view. So I'm going to use my t-square and triangle combined, line it up with the border of the object, and those lines are going to go right in between. Any points of change from left to right, I'm going to do the same thing, just like I did vertically, and over here on the right. Okay, so right off the bat, there's a grid. This problem is by far not done. Right? At this point, some of those lines are going to be used and some of them are not. It's possible in certain objects that some of those lines won't be used at all, but they would create a point of intersection for something else. So everything over there has to do with the object somehow. Some stuff gets erased and some stays. So we have to make that decision. So here's one way I like to think about it. So in this top view, we see two surfaces. We see surface 1, we see surface 2. Those two surfaces in the side view aren't visible as surfaces right now because neither one of them is an incline. So surface 1 is really this edge right here. So that edge is surface 1. Surface 2 is this edge right here. So the lines represent those surfaces. Now, we know that because that's what it lines up with. So what I mean by that is if I create a 45-degree construction line. So I can actually do this problem without it, but I'm going to draw it just so that you know how to transfer between the top and side view. So it's just as easy to do that, but we're going to need a 45. So I'm going to bring the outer side of that view up. I'm going to bring the bottom of the top view over. And at that point where they intersect, I'm going to make a 45-degree line. So that line's a mirror line. Essentially, everything from this view as it comes across, where it hits it, it's going to line up with the view on the side. So if I transfer this point, because we already have the boundary, I bring that point over to that 45, and then I drop that straight down. That's going to line up with our vertical line right here in the middle of the side view. So that's how we identify it. So surface 1 only goes from here to here. And when we follow it down, that only goes from here to here. So there's surface 1. Surface 2 goes from this point to the top, and when I follow those 2 points down, it goes from this point to this point. So this is the front of the object, this is the back of the object. Likewise, in the top view, this is the front of the object, this is the back of the object. So I can write that if that helps. So we've got back, and we've got front. We have front over here, we have back over here. Of course, this is top, just like that whole view is. Okay? So now that I have those, so now I have to figure out, okay, so where's surface 1 over in the front view? So this is the height. We can see the height in the side. We can see the height in the front. We cannot see the height up top. So the height of surface 1 we can see does not go all the way up. So that means that surface 1, that square, has to be on this line because that's where that came from. So knowing that, it also has to line up with the top view. Surface 1 I follow down and where they intersect. So surface 1 is going to go from here to here. So I can take my t-square and I can darken in that surface. So there's surface 1 in the front view. Now surface 2 goes the full length from left to right of the object, which means down here in the front view, whatever surface 2 is has to go the whole way from left edge to right edge. Now you only have 3 options. You have the top line, the middle line, or the bottom line. It can't be the middle line because there's an object line separating surface 1 and 2. Otherwise that would all have been one surface. So that means it can't be in the same place as that one. Now again, we look for where it is in the right side view. So surface 2 we've identified is here. So that's up along the top, which tells me surface 2 is that line up there, and it goes the whole length across. So I'm going to put my pencil there, and we're going to draw the whole length across. So there's surface 2. Now, this rectangle is all one surface, which tells me, and there's no hidden lines, so it goes the whole way top to bottom, and we can see that over here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to darken in the rest of that main frame, because I know that whole shape is darkened in on the perimeter. Now it's not quite done, but it's almost there. So let's go back to this surface 1. So surface 1 has an end, and it ends right there. We have to do something with it. It can't just float. So if I look at the side view, similarly to up there, we have 2 visible surfaces. This large surface, which, if I take another colored pencil, we can call that, we'll call that surface A, and we'll call that surface B. So surface B, in the opposite direction, we know is this line, because that's what we're looking at. We're looking at the right side view, so that is the right side direction. So there's surface B, which makes this line there surface A. I can identify that direction as right side. Okay. So knowing that surface A lines up right there, I have to follow it down, and it can only be from here to their height. That means it's that segment. So right there, I've got that completed, and surface B is already here, and that's that total height right there. So that means there's 2 construction lines still in the middle. Those can go. So now I can clean out everything that I didn't use. And so now that first problem is done. Now when it comes to the others on this worksheet, so this particular worksheet is set up to where some of these will work. That's the top view used for really everything here. However, the side views are all different, and in this case they can be. However, there's a couple of these that are not going to work at all and are there to really trick you, and if you read the instructions it tells you to mark an X if it's not possible. So some of them are not going to be possible, right? But many of them will be, and it's the same for the second column. Alright, give it a try and see how you do.